Right, hello everyone. Welcome to the Golden Sky podcast. First episode. So if you're here with me, thank you for joining me. It's Monday, June 30th, 2025. I'm Tom. If you don't know already, if you're here on YouTube joining me, hit the like button, subscribe, drop a comment, all that good stuff. Spotify listeners, 5-star ratings and reviews. So now that that's all out of the way, let's get into things. But actually, before we get into things properly, I suppose we should address why we have a podcast now, or why I have a podcast now. I was previously doing match ratings by typing, as some of you may know, and kind of decided 2 years ago that it was taking up a bit too much more time with my exams. Actually had an exam today, funnily enough, halfway done now with those. So yeah, I decided coming into this new season, after not doing anything for last season, that maybe doing videos could be fun. I watch a lot of YouTube content for people making videos talking about football, and the same with basketball as well. And I felt like this is maybe a bit less feels like work or like studying when I do talking to a camera. This is very new for me, so please bear with me. But yeah, I figured this might be quite fun, and if you want to listen to me talk about football, that's great. And if you're new around here, then thanks. I'm really happy to have you with me, and let's have a good season talking about Liverpool and the Premier League and whatever else we get up to as well. So yeah, solo pod for now. Might have some guests later on in the year. We'll see. But yeah, let's get into things. So what do we want to talk about? Well, what's happened so far in the season, or in the pre-season. And I think the biggest talking point obviously is transfers. It's what everyone's talking about, especially with our club, with Liverpool. So if we're talking about Liverpool's transfers so far, then we've got to start with basically one man, and that's Florian Wirtz, Liverpool's record signing by some distance, and a potential Premier League record signing too. And I want to make this clear: the fee is 100 million and 60 million potential add-ons. Now, I don't know what the add-ons are. They might be likely, they might be easy add-ons to achieve. It might be like scoring 10 goals in a season, something like that. But the point is, don't listen to all these rival fans. I've seen many clips saying it's 150 million. Okay, first of all, they're talking euros, and I don't even know if 150 million euros equates to 116 million, which isn't even what we paid as of right now. I'm not one to really harp on transfer fees, especially when Liverpool pay for a player who is so highly regarded. But I just wanted to make that clear. Don't let anyone cloud your judgment of how much this transfer cost. It was £100 million with 16 million potential add-ons, which, if all paid, will take it to a British record fee. So Florian Wirtz, it is the most exciting signing I think ever in my lifetime. I've seen a few people talk about Torres as a signing that was maybe this exciting, or maybe the most exciting signing since or previous to Wirtz, I suppose. I was pretty young when we signed Torres, maybe 5, so can't really compare. But Wirtz is a superstar. There's no two ways about it. He is an absolute superstar. So, I mean, if we want to get into the numbers, and we're going to do that sometimes for people who like numbers, hooray, we're going to get into numbers sometimes on here. If you don't like numbers, my apologies, we're going to talk numbers sometimes on here. I like numbers. So anyway, last season, Wirtz, he played 45 games, so that's the Bundesliga. That's the Champions League and the DFB Pokal, and he made also one appearance, I believe, in the German Super Cup, I think. So 45 games, 16 goals, 14 assists. So 30 goal contributions in 45 games. It's a crazy return from someone playing number 10. This guy's not a joke. This is what I'm saying. This is a serious signing, and that's why the money is as high as it is. So we all like those numbers, goals and assists, but I wanted to get into maybe a little bit more about Wirtz in detail and kind of, what makes him so special. So one of my favourite stats about Wirtz is he makes 64 passes a game. Now you might be thinking, what's the big deal in that? 64 passes a game? Okay, first of all, when comparing these stats to number 10s, attacking midfielders and wingers around the world, I'm going to give you percentile numbers, and that is the 98th percentile of all players, attacking midfielders and wingers in world football, for passes per 90 minutes per game. 64 passes. Basically meaning this guy is on the ball a lot, and for a number 10 to have 64 passes a game, those numbers are insanely high, which means his involvement in play is insanely high, which is obviously what you want from a player this big, a star player. You want them to be involved in the game, in the flow of the game. That is a level of passes where he is actually dictating games from number 10, which is not really a familiar concept. To give you some context to these numbers, if you take our holding midfielder from last year, obviously Ryan Gravenberch, who the holding midfielder is more the player who dictates the play in modern football. They set the tempo, they have the ball a lot under not much pressure, they pass the ball around back and forth to centre backs, recycle play out to the wings. Gravenberch averages 53 passes a game, so 11 less than Wirtz. Different system, of course. Leverkusen, different system to Liverpool. I'm just giving you the numbers. Okay, Gravenberch new to the position. Okay, sure. Thomas Partey for Arsenal. Arsenal really high possession team, much higher than we were, I think, last year in the Prem. Thomas Partey 60 passes a game. So again, Wirtz 64, Thomas Partey 60. Sandro Tonali, another top midfielder in the Premier League, played in that deep role for Newcastle, especially more towards the end of the season, 52 passes a game. Then I thought, okay, let's compare him to actual number 10s. So let's start with Szoboszlai, who played in our sort of number 10 role last year. I mean, if you can call it a number 10, it was sort of an attacking midfielder role. I know he did a lot of running, and that seems to be what everyone kind of focuses on for him at the minute, but it was a number 10. He averages 47 passes a game. So maybe it's a tactical thing, that he doesn't get on the ball all that much. It could be. But again, Wirtz's numbers insanely high, 98th percentile. Martin Odegaard, much more of a traditional number 10, I would say, then more so than Szoboszlai. Playing for, again, a big club, on the ball a lot, 55 passes a game. So you can see Wirtz higher than them all. He's on the ball so much, and that is such a key stat for me in terms of how involved he's going to be in our play next year. And to back that up even more, his touches, so not passes. Remember, we're talking passes here. This is him actually receiving the ball and playing it to somebody else. Just touches. So what's recorded as a touch is if he was basically gets on the ball and, I don't know, does something with it. It doesn't have to be a pass, it can be a dribble, it can be a shot. 78 per game, which again, 98th percentile. So he is so heavily involved in play, and I think that's so exciting because he's not going to be the type of player who we see maybe one or two times a game. And yeah, sure, a lot of these passes might just be quick bounces, receive the ball and bounce back, or receive the ball, play the easy ball. But when we watch Liverpool next year, provided these numbers kind of stay where they are, he's going to be the central hub to our attacks and to our play. So, very exciting. Let's get into some slightly nerdier numbers now, because that's what we like over here. So 6.63 progressive passes per game, 93rd percentile. 11.08 progressive passes received, 89th percentile. So not only is he passing the ball forward, which is what that means, progressive pass, he's progressing the play with his passes, but he's also receiving a high amount of those passes. So when you look at Gravenberch's numbers, you think of him maybe this season trying to improve his passes forwards into our attacking players. Wirtz is always available for the ball, and when he gets the ball, he himself also plays the ball forward. So you're thinking Salah, you're thinking Gakpo, whoever might be up front for us. There's plenty of opportunity for them to be fed the ball by Wirtz. But he's not only a passer. He attempts 6 take-ons per game, which is 96th percentile. So he's taken on more players per game than 96% of other players, attacking midfielders or wingers in the world. And he's successful in 2.89 of those, so almost 50%. Again, 96th percentile. So he is top class at beating players as well as passing the ball. So you can see the point we're going with here. You can see the point I'm trying to convey to you. This guy is a serious player, and it's very exciting. Also carries. So carries is what the stat people just call dribbles. 46 per game. Doesn't necessarily have to be a dribble where he goes past someone. It's just where he takes the ball and he carries the ball. It doesn't have to be forward. It can be anywhere around the pitch. But 46, which is crazy high. And then his shooting. So, okay, we've seen his playmaking. We know he can do that. You've seen the goals last year, though, 16 goals. And that was actually down from last year, from the year before as well. So, interesting stat I found is his shot on target percentage, which is 48.5%. So half his shots are on target, and it doesn't sound all that impressive, but again, compared to other attacking midfielders or wingers, it's 95th percentile in the world. So it's actually really high. 1 in every 2 shots is getting on target, and he also takes a lot of shots too, which is really good, because I think we need a type of player like that to maybe just take some more of the load of goal scoring and shooting off Salah. I don't know if Salah's going to be able to have the season that he had last year. Again, obviously I hope he does, but he carried a lot of the load in terms of goals and assists last year, so it'd be good if Wirtz can keep that up. And obviously his expected assists per game is 0.34, which is 96th percentile. Again, crazy high. These numbers are basically just off the charts. He is genuinely an incredible player. I can't believe that we have him. Sometimes I'll just be lying there at night. Happened to me last night. I'm just lying in my bed, and it pops into my head that we have Florian Wirtz. It's really crazy to think he might play in pre-season in like a week or something or 2 weeks against Preston. It's just bananas. Sets up, has an expected assist per game of 0.34, just over a third of an assist expected per game. So it's incredible. There's so high numbers. Again, if you don't understand all those, you're not a numbers guy, just take my words for it that this guy is incredible, and the data shows it as well. Maybe a bit more easy to break down. I mean, last year was his first year in the Champions League ever, right? You know, Leverkusen the year before had the invincible season where they won the German league, they won the German Cup, and they got to the Europa League final, where they eventually lost to Atalanta when Lookman scored the hat-trick, which was random, by the way. Like, he got on the Ballon d'Or for that's a whole different story. But this was Wirtz's first year ever in the Champions League. He played 9 games, And he got man of the match in 5 of them. So, like, over half the games, man of the match, and like they didn't win every game, so usually the man of the match goes to a team player on the winning team. So, I mean, one of those games was getting battered 4-0 at Anfield, if anyone remembers that one. So, you kind of rule that one out. He's incredible, honestly. When I'm researching this, it blows my mind. I'm so excited to watch him play. And yeah, so I thought I'd touch a little bit on the injury history as well. It's quite an important thing with Wirtz. In March 2022, he did actually tear his ACL. I don't know if this is common knowledge. At the time he was very young, but he had broke through. He tore his ACL, he was out for 10 months. And since then has obviously hit the form that he has now for basically 2.5 years-ish, where he's been and is now one of the top 10 best players in the world, easily, I would say. And I think it's important to note, since that injury, he's only had one injury at all since then. Been ill once or twice, but only one injury, and that was in March this year, where he was out for 1 month. There was something in his ankle, I think, a ligament in his ankle from a bad tackle. So he's hopefully over whatever problems the ACL tear caused him, which is great, because, you know, last year I think we did a really good job of keeping the squad fit, which is something we struggled with maybe a little bit more with Klopp. Maybe we got lucky last year, but it's important to keep that in mind when we're signing these players. So yeah, one other interesting thing about Wirtz, this blew my mind actually when I found this out, is that, so Harvey Elliott has just played in the under-21 Euros. Okay, now he's 22 now, he's just turned 22, Harvey Elliott. But he just played in that, obviously they won, he was brilliant. But what if I told you that Harvey Elliott is older than Florian Wirtz? I mean, like, that is insane. Like, it's only a couple of days. I think it's like literally a countable number of days, about 20 days or something. But the fact is, Elliott is older than Wirtz, which is mind-boggling. When you consider Elliott still like a young player coming through, he's got so much potential. We'll get onto Elliott later, but yeah, it's crazy. Wirtz is younger, and already as good as he is, he still has so much room to grow. It's so exciting to me because it feels like, as Salah, I know he had his best year last year, but he is 33, and as he sort of, I don't want to say Salah starts declining, because people have been saying that about Salah for years, almost willing it onto him, and it's not happened. So I don't want to say, oh, he's going to decline as he gets older. I mean, he obviously will eventually, but I think if we can shift some of the burden and the task away from Salah and put it onto Wirtz as kind of our new superstar, new head of the attack, it's just incredible. And also his defensive numbers are really good too. I don't have any in front of me, but he works super hard. He's not a luxury player by any means, as number 10s can often be, especially maybe 10-15 years ago, very much when number 10s were in the fashion of football. You think Mesut Ozil, you think that kind of player. Wesley Sneijder, they maybe look more luxury players than other types, but covers a lot of ground, works really hard, so that's great. Okay, enough about Wirtz, as exciting as it is, as I just have a little bit of water. Okay, so we've not only signed Florian Wirtz this summer, although we did have to kind of lead with him, we have also signed a left back. Milos Kerkez has come in, our most recent signing, confirmed last week, and it's a really exciting signing. A Premier League player, that's always fun, signing a player from another Premier League club. You already know them a little bit, you might have watched them play a little bit if you don't watch other leagues. Oh, and before we get into Kerkez, that's another something that I want to address on this podcast. So a lot of people who make football videos that I watch, not all of them, but a lot of them fit into categories of they either speak in Twitter language, they'll say like sayings that you'd only find online, but they'll actually speak it, or that all their thoughts will be molded by Twitter, or they will pretend that they've watched every minute of every player in every league, and they know everything about them. They almost feel like you can't say you don't know something, and if you don't know something, that makes you like a bad fan, or you don't know ball, or something like that. It's not the case here. I'm not going to pretend I watch every game. I watch a lot of games, but not every game. But we do know about Kirkez. We watched him a lot last year. Moving back to him. So he's had an interesting career, I would say. Moved to Milan's youth team, actually, not even that long ago. He's only 21. Moved there when he was younger and didn't really break through ever, and actually I think wanted to leave to get more game time, and he ended up at AZ Alkmaar in the Dutch league. Does really well there. And then funnily enough, our man Richard Hughes brings him to Bournemouth. When Richard Hughes was at Bournemouth, Richard Hughes says, "Come on, Milos, you're coming to the South Coast and you're going to play for Bournemouth." So he spent 2 years at Bournemouth. Obviously, first year kind of under the radar, I would say. I did know who he was when he first joined Bournemouth, but his first season didn't really catch the eye too much. You got to keep in mind, he's very young, and he was starting left back for Bournemouth in the Premier League. It's not the easiest way to be kind of thrown in. But last year really impressed everybody, I think. Shouts for best left back in the league last year. It's debatable, but he's certainly got a case. I think he did it across the whole year. People will throw Lewis Skelly in there. I don't know if he really broke into the team until later half of the season. No doubt he's a good player, but Kirkez is really good. I think interesting thing about Kirkez is he was top 5 in both sprints and distance covered last year. So I think that kind of reflects the style of player that we're signing here. This is sort of a similar archetype to, I guess, younger Robbo, someone who sprints up the wing, covers a lot of ground, flying up and down, which is interesting because I'd say both Robbo at this stage and Tsimikas, not really the most athletic players anymore. I mean, Robbo still covers a lot of ground, but he's lost that yard of pace, and he is getting up there in age. I think he might only be 30 or 31, Robbo, but you can definitely tell there's been a drop off in athleticism through all the years of Klopp. Kirkez is fresh. He flies up and down, and I think that reflects his playing style in general. He's quite an intense player, I would say, quite an aggressive player. When he defends, he kind of takes up. I've watched a lot of clips of him since he signed, and I actually watched quite a lot of Bournemouth last year too, because they had a nice, young, exciting team. When he's defending one-on-one, he likes to be on his toes, really aggressive with tackles. He likes to slide into tackles. Not necessarily rash, but slides into tackles, likes to be aggressive in the tackle, which, again, I think kind of reflects Robbo when he was younger. The difference with Kirkez and Robbo is, and I've always said this about Robbo, is if Robbo had a step over in his locker or had a better shot, maybe an eye for goal at all, because Robbo doesn't have an eye for goal, it would really have improved him. And I think Kirkez definitely has that. He has excellent carrying numbers, excellent dribbles, take-ons, that kind of thing. He's more of a dribbler at this stage in his career than anything else. His passing numbers are quite poor. As of right now, last season 76% pass completion, which is only in the 32nd percentile. So gives the ball away quite a lot. And that percentile is compared to fullbacks. So it's a fair comparison. Kirkez is not the best passer at the minute. I do think that's something that will improve for Liverpool just naturally, as Bournemouth are less of a possession-heavy team possession dominant team than Liverpool, who, especially when we're at home, we will dominate the ball, and they will have a lot of easy passes to Van Dijk, to midfield, under no pressure. That should naturally go up. But I think it's definitely something he needs to work on. He's much more of a dribbler than anything else right now. He has, however, though, a good thing about Kirkers. He's had no injuries. As in literally zero in his whole career. His injury history is nothing, so that's excellent. He's also 2 centimeters taller than Andy Robbo. It's interesting. It's only 2 centimeters. It's what, that much maybe, but he is taller, and this is an interesting, I think, point to make, because a lot of discussion is being had at the minute with us getting quite small with these new players. Definitely Wirtz is small. Not small, but not exactly dominant in the air. But the aerial stats, so if you compare Kirkes with Robbo, Kirkes wins 36% of his aerial duels, Robbo only 33%. And I think that again reflects how aggressive Kirkes is. He relishes that sort of physical battle. So it's actually slightly better in the air than Robbo, which again maybe just dispels the myth a little bit that he isn't as good in the air, or that Liverpool in general won't be as good in the air. And he has always worn number 3 as well in his career. This is interesting because number 3 at the minute is currently obviously taken up by Endo. So is there a possibility that Endo gives up number 3, maybe takes number 6, which is vacant, and Kirkes takes number 3? Because there isn't that many numbers, unless he goes into the teens, that apply. Well, there isn't any that really would be defensive numbers, so that's interesting. And going back to Wirtz, I think Wirtz will take number 27, unless some jiggery pokery happens with Szoboszlai, McAllister. I don't know. He wore number 27 at Leverkusen when he first broke through. It's a historic number at Liverpool, worn by the great Divock Origi. So I think more than happy for Wirtz to have that. So that's Kirkes. On the other side, we signed Jeremy Frimpong, which feels like ages ago now. But we did sign him. It was a nice cheap deal, really, I would say, especially for the player that he is. Played 190 games for Leverkusen, scored 30 goals and got 44 assists. Now, he's actually the 21st top scorer in the Bundesliga last year. He only scored 5, but it just shows kind of the quality of goal scorers out there in the world. They're not that high right now. And Frimpong, it's important to note, at Leverkusen was essentially playing right midfield. This guy did not play right back in a back 4 for Leverkusen. It just simply did not happen, which is why initially when we were linked to Frimpong, I just didn't understand it, because we don't play that way and he doesn't play that way. But he certainly has attributes to be able to play that way, and I think that's something that we can take into account. And I think fans get a bit stuck in that at the minute, that around the league, fans get stuck in that we have to play a certain way. We have this system and that's what we're going to stick to, and we're not going to change. I think managers and fans, especially, I think managers are more flexible or they have to be more flexible in their system. It's not good to just have one system and stick to that. And I'm not saying he has to change formation, but to have players who do certain roles in a team different to maybe how another player might, I think that's important. I think fans need to sort of realise that we don't need to copy whatever Guardiola does or whatever Arsenal are doing. We don't need to copy that. And I think Frimpong is an attacking fullback, make no mistake about it. So is Bradley, though. Bradley is also an attacking fullback, and we might say Bradley is more of a defensive fullback than Frimpong, and I'd agree. That's because Bradley's played right back. Frimpong has played right wing back, but it is basically right midfield. So yeah, there is that. But he is very fast. His top speed last year was 36.3 kilometers per hour, which is almost as fast as me. It would land him top 5 in the Prem last season for top speed. In fact, can I remember who number 1 was last year? And Burma was up there. He was top 3. Mateus Nunes was there. I can't remember who's number 1 now. But there we go. Maybe it'll come to me. And Frimpong, similar to Kirkes, is much more of a ball carrier than a ball player, a passer, which is what makes him so interesting. He's the total opposite type of player to Trent Alexander-Arnold. I mean, could not be more different in a profile. As we know, Trent is, or was, still not really over all of that. Trent was a passer for Liverpool. He dictated play from deep. He was an excellent passer, gave the ball away a lot, but was also an excellent passer when it came off. Frimpong doesn't pass the ball at all. In fact, he only averages 36 passes a game, which is 4th percentile for fullbacks. It is really low. He does not pass the ball. Now, this is because he's playing maybe in a sort of wing-back role. It's not really a passing type role. Like, his job for Leverkusen simply was to get the ball and run forward with the ball, which is why his carries of over 4 a game is in the 97th percentile. He runs with the ball, he does not pass it, and he's an excellent dribbler. So I think that might be what maybe Slot envisions for us next year. If you look at those two players, carrying numbers excellent, passing not so good. But I think we were more of a passing team last year, so it's one to think about, but it certainly gives us more options. And again, I wanted to look at the heading numbers, the aerial numbers. So Trent, now, admittedly, isn't the biggest competition for Frimpong. Whilst Trent might be 3 centimetres taller, he is awful in the air. His numbers are, frankly, pretty pathetic. I'm talking Trent here, and I'm not just slandering him because he left. They are really bad. He simply just does not really ever get into aerial duels. He just doesn't. But when he does, he only wins 21% of them, which was super low percentile. Frimpong wins 30.6%. So about the same, almost, as what Robbo wins. Not quite as high as Kirkes, but he competes a lot more than Trent, which is the takeaway. So again, we might be getting smaller, but the numbers may be more favourable than you'd think. Again, injury history, only had 1 injury in his career, and that was in March 2022. He was out for 2 months, but no injuries since then, and I think it's pretty much confirmed he's going to wear number 30 for us next year. So it's all very exciting, and I think those 3 additions are all top quality additions. We also do have Mamardashvili. We can get into him another day maybe. I didn't feel like it was necessary to really talk about what will be our reserve goalkeeper at this section in the first pod, but maybe another day. We do have him too. Sky are adding in the numbers of him to make our spending go higher, of course, but it's about time we spent money, to be honest, and I'm really excited to see what business we have left to do, which nicely brings us onto it. Let's talk about some of Liverpool's future business. So, as we know, there could be some outgoings coming up for Liverpool next. Most notably, I think, is Darwin Núñez, a pretty divisive player, really, over the years. I think, for me, personally, his best season was his first season. May have had better numbers in the second year, but I honestly think he played the best in the first season. And Napoli, obviously interested, is the rumour anyway. I doubt if they will have the funding or be willing to spend what we would like to buy him, but it is the rumour. I'm sure he would do okay in Italy. I don't know. A lot of strikers from the Prem seem to do okay in Italy. I would always wish him well. I think he's done good for us, but he definitely has to go this year, and hopefully we can raise some good money for him. We've got Harvey Elliott, we've got Tyler Morton, we've got Kwanzaa has had his medical today, Keller has already gone, Robbo was linked with Atletico, but apparently they don't want him anymore. But then you've got Tsimikas and him, one of them's going to have to go. We've got 3 left backs, we don't need 3. And then Diaz's future up in the air as well. So, I mean, if we start with if we go into Elliot from that group I just kind of reeled off, I think he's the most notable behind maybe Nunez, or maybe before him. If I think he's a better player than Nunez, definitely. And he's just shown that in the under-21 Euros. Obviously England won. He was really good. Scored in the final. Scored in the semi-final. Was really good. But the caveat is, it's not the greatest competition in the world. He's an established first-team player, and that's where he wants to be. The England team was good, but the other teams, I don't know. If it was the Euros, then yeah, really exciting. But just downplaying expectations. However, what I will say about that is, I'll give you some players who've won Player of the Tournament, which Elliot did win, at the Under-21 Euros, and I'll let you think for yourselves on how to perceive this. So, we got Rudi Völler from Germany. We got Laurent Blanc. We got Davor Schuker. Luis Figo. Fabio Cannavaro. Andrea Pirlo. Thiago. Remember him. And in a more recent time, maybe not quite as big a name as some of those, some of them are absolute legends, but Fabian Ruiz, who just won the Champions League with PSG and was a star in that campaign and the Euros campaign that Spain just won, the full Euros. So he's in good company, let's put it that way. However, if you're now thinking, oh, well, absolutely fucking not, we shouldn't sell him, no way. I'll give you some other names of players who've won that award. If you don't know them, there's a reason why. Okay, so we've got Royston Drenthe. If anyone out there remembers Royston Drenthe, played for Real Madrid, he won it. Marcus Berg, can't say I'm too familiar with Marcus Berg. He was top scorer when he won it in about 2010 or something. Yeah, him. William Carvalho, he plays for Portugal now, holding midfielder. And Dani Ceballos, playing now as well for Real Madrid, but a reserve player, was on loan at Arsenal 1 year. Anthony Gordon also won it the last time it was on. So, Anthony Gordon maybe having a slightly more successful career than those four names, but point is, how much can you take from it? I'm not sure. Must say though, it has made me think, I don't know, Slot didn't really fancy Elliot last year, I think that was clear, but if he can improve maybe with us and he's okay with the game time that he might get, then I don't know, I honestly kind of think he's worth keeping rather than selling him and buying someone else. But I understand also that he wants to play, and that's the stage he's at in his career. So I wouldn't begrudge him if he did go, and if he did go, it'd be interesting to see where he ends up and for how much money we get. I think, considering Chelsea just paid, I think it was 55 million for Gittins, and is it 50 or 60 million for João Pedro? I mean, come on, Elliot is of that ilk, I would say. So 50 million is where I'd be looking, I think, for him, which would be, I mean, crazy to receive for him. Tyler Morton, Paul Joyce did an article today that Braga, who else was it? There was an English club, might have been West Ham, I could be wrong on that. There was another club as well, but I think Braga were the main ones, are interested in him. I don't know how much money we'll get, but if Joyce is saying it, it's likely things are at a sort of advanced level, and I think it's clear Morton has to go this year. He's never going to seemingly break through with us, and we could get a decent chunk of money, maybe 10 million, something like that. Braga have just been taken over by Qatar, the same people who own PSG, so maybe they'll use Braga as a bit more of a feeder club. I don't know, I hate all that shit. That's a discussion for another day. Kwanzaa obviously gone, Kelleher gone, the left back situation, and then that leaves Diaz, I would say. I mean, this is assuming we're keeping Chiesa and Jota, which futures are in doubt. Chiesa probably more likely to leave. Maybe if we get an offer from an Italian club to take him, sad as that would make me. But Diaz is interesting. So there's been a bit of chatter about his agent in the last couple of days, basically saying that he feels like he deserves a new contract, and he's disappointed that Liverpool haven't offered him one. But from Liverpool's point of view, he's 28, I believe, and he's got 2 years left. So I think from us, it's kind of right not to give him a new deal. I don't know, he's going to want a lot more money than what he's on now. So I think it's a position where both parties are actually in the right. I don't know kind of what will happen with him, but the rumour is that Saudi Arabia, more specifically Al Nassr, which is the team Ronaldo plays for, are interested and will look to pay up to 85 million. I think that was euros, it might have been pounds, but let me tell you something. If we get 85 million offered for Luis Diaz, we are going to take it. There is no doubt about that. We will take that money as a great deal, and we will reinvest that, no doubt about it, especially when we've already got Gakpo, who's a more than fine starter in the left wing. Just think of what we could reinvest that 85 million into. And not to go FIFA career mode on you here, but if we sold, let's say we sell Elliott for 40, we sell Diaz, okay, forget Diaz for a sec, we sell Elliott for 40, we sell Nunez for 50, we sell Morton for 10, that's 100 million. If we get Diaz as well for 80 or 70, if it's pounds, the money we've raised there, could it go towards someone like an Alexander Isak? Which is a lovely segue onto some strikers. So Liverpool are likely going to sign a striker this summer. I still think there's a world where we don't. Honestly, I really do. That's just my opinion. Because the striker market is really interesting. And it might be interesting because it's not that interesting. Basically, there's Isak, who we all know is top quality. He is about to turn 26, and Newcastle want reportedly astronomical money if they even consider selling. I think the figure was 200 million. I mean, that's silly. It's obviously not going to be 200 million. They're just trying to put us off, but it will be probably more than Wirtz, who was obviously a British record. Last season he played 42 games, scored 27 goals and got 6 assists. We all know the qualities of Isak. He is top class, and if we signed him, my head would fall right off my neck and roll all the way down the street, all the way to Anfield, to be put on top of our Premier League trophy that we'd already won if we sign him, because he is that good, and it would be incredible. But I'm not sure how realistic it is, honestly, and I do think it would take a bit of posturing from him to get away from Newcastle. Another option we've got, or we've at least been linked to a little bit, is Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt. So Ekitike is an interesting one. He had a real breakthrough last year at Frankfurt. He played 48 games, he scored 22 goals, he got 12 assists. So his goal contributions are high, and his numbers are fantastic too. He has a higher XG per game than Isak. Again, different league. The Bundesliga does usually have higher expected goal numbers than the Prem, but it's there. He's younger. He's worse. Let's get that straight. He is not as good as Isak. I'm not sure many strikers are in the world. But he, to me, looks like he has a lot of talent, and I quite like him. I think he looks graceful on the ball, despite him being quite tall. Which is kind of different to Nunez, who, I mean, graceful is not the word used to describe Nunez. He's more like, I don't know if you released like they say bull in a china shop, but he's like, I don't know if you put like an elephant in there or something and just kind of give him a football and told him to sort of do keepy-ups, and he just started thrashing around, bobbling the ball off his knees. That's Nunez. Ekitike a bit more, touch is more refined. The problem with him is Frankfurt won a lot of money. A lot. I mean, they've been brandishing around 100 million. It's just not going to happen. They sold Marmoush to City for 70 million in January, so they know they can get big money for these players. I'd say Marmoush was probably more established than Ekitike was when he moved. But he's certainly a good player. He's just not worth that much money, and I think it would take the price to come down a lot before Liverpool would even consider paying for him. He's just not worth that much, which could lead us to go with no striker. I mean, Osimhen's been branded around a little bit. I just don't see it with his wages. I really don't see it. And also, he's just not the type of player that we sign. He's just not. It doesn't fit the profile of kind of signing we'd go for. I think that's a bit of a non-starter. For me, unless there's someone else out there that Liverpool have got their eye on that is kind of hiding amongst all these people right now, then I do think Isak is the one we want. But Ekitike might be the one we settle for as long as his price comes down and Isak doesn't help us force the move to happen. So that's strikers. We obviously will also be looking at centre-backs now that Kwanzaa is gone, and obviously the name that everyone is talking about, and for obvious reasons, is Mark Guéhi from Crystal Palace. Now Guéhi's top centre-back, and it would definitely be an upgrade on Kwanzaa. Definitely. If we were to sign him, he's much more established. He's an England regular. Palace captain, obviously captained them to the FA Cup last year, played in the Prem for many seasons now. Really, really assured player, good on the ball, can kick it with both feet. He's a little small, I think he's 6 foot, but numbers aren't the worst, and I mean, it might catch us out sometimes, but if he's competing with Virgil and Kanate, I think we're not going to get a better top 3 centre-backs than that. You're just not. The thing with Guéhi is, so last year, I think Spurs and Newcastle both wanted him, and Palace wanted 70 million, I think, was the figure. Now, he only has 1 year left on his deal now, which obviously drops his price already a lot, but I think Palace is still, at the minute where the negotiations are, is they still want more money than we're prepared to pay. I think we'll basically want to match Kwanzaa's price, which was around 30 million. And if not, would it be interesting to see if Liverpool say, right, well, we'll sign him on a free then, and say we won't pay this year, we'll sign him on a free. And if so, does that entice Palace to drop the price and maybe try and recoup some money for him, or do they stick out the season with him? I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure how that one will go. If I had to bet right now, I would say that he's going to join. He's going to come to us. I think we will get the deal done, which would be an honestly unbelievable signing for a third choice centre-back, if that's what he does come in as. If we then went into the season with Van Dijk, Kanate, Guéhi and Gomez, that's a pretty solid 4. It really is. As injury prone as Gomez has been over his career. There isn't really any other names going around for centre-back. There's really none. Hato is a name from Ajax we've been briefly linked with. I think we do probably like him, but I think at this stage of his career he's very young. He's more of a full-back than a centre-back, and also the homegrown quota of Guéhi is very important. I think we are on the line with the homegrown players. I mean, it'll be fine. It always is. But I think it's a point to take into account with Guéhi is that he's homegrown, and that helps with certain things quite a lot. So, that's the summer transfer business in the near future. Anyway, what's on the cards as of today, 30th of June? Will things change in a week? Almost definitely. Will there be more players linked to Liverpool? Yes, players linked all the time to Liverpool, and you have to be careful who you read the reports from, because a lot of them are, well, they're just not news, basically. And we might get into some news reports as they come out now. Now that we are podcasting, we'll react to some of those news reports. But yeah, I think that is kind of the summary of the business so far, both incoming and outgoing in the future. So then, to move away from Liverpool and just have a little look at something that I thought was interesting a new bit of news that broke last week, sort of new rule, our new rules that are coming into the Premier League next year. I thought this was really interesting, so I thought this is a good way to sort of move away from Liverpool focus and just discuss on here. For those of you who haven't heard, there was a rule change announced last week, and not to the game itself, but more to the, I don't know how to describe it, more to the product, to the show of the Premier League. And that is that, and this is deadly serious, so hear me out. Every single week when a team plays a game, they will now have a choice, and I presume this is both teams. It didn't clarify. Maybe it's the home team only, maybe it's both teams, I don't know. They have a choice between one of the three following options. Okay, just strap in for this one. Screw your heads on, because this is crazy. Right. So, option number one, a half-time interview with a player or a coach. I'll just let those sink in. Option number two, interviews for players who are subbed off. I mean, okay. Number three, dressing room broadcast. This is deadly serious, honestly. This is really going to happen unless there's some sort of mad U-turn. This is really a thing. It's really going to happen next year. And I just thought it was interesting. I mean, what do you guys think? Let me know what you think of this as a whole, and which one you think we're likely to see. Now, when I read this, what I think initially straight away is there's no way teams are going to do dressing room broadcasts, and if they do, it won't be very often. There's a reason why that's private, and it has been forever in football. It's just not going to happen. And if it does happen, what are they going to show? Because if you watch football on Sky, right, this is a whole different conversation, but let's get into it. If you watch football on Sky, the product they show, when it goes to half-time, which is when I presume the broadcast will be, okay, the first half finishes, we go straight to adverts, right? When they come back to Sky, they're on for maybe 30 seconds, where they talk about, maybe there was a big talking point in the first half, and then straight back to adverts. There's no time for analysis, and there's certainly no time to be showing dressing room broadcasts. I don't understand. They don't show any coverage of anything. It's just adverts. So I don't really understand that one at all. But it might not be as batshit mental as the interviews for players who are subbed off. I mean, this is crazy. This is berserk. Imagine that we've just lost a game, or we're losing the game 1-0. We're playing Everton or something. We're playing the Ev, and we bring off, let's say we bring off Curtis Jones, a player who, by the way, can speak English. So imagine Nunes was still in, we had to bring him off. Why are they going to interview him? He can't even speak English. Okay, so we bring Jones off, and now they're saying to Jones, how do you feel about the game, about being subbed? What's he gonna? Is he gonna be nice to the camera? Like, oh, I'm really sad about being subbed off. Like, no, this is just a recipe for disaster. I don't understand this. He's gonna be fuming. He's not gonna want to talk. No player's gonna want to talk. And let's say the team's winning and we bring a player off and they do an interview. That's still not right. It's not right. And if this upholds and we do this is a real genuine thing that's going to take place next year, which at the time of speaking it is. We're definitely going to get some moments this year where in these interviews for players being subbed off, someone's going to go viral, someone's going to say something bad or funny or something, and it'll be in the heat of the moment, and that's what's going to happen because it's a high pressure situation. I think the most likely one that's going to get selected is the halftime interview with the player or with the coach. So it didn't clarify if this is a player who's actually playing, in which case, Mamardashvili, I hope you know English well, my friend, because you're going to be doing an interview every single game for Liverpool. That's going to be your job. Or a coach. It did say the assistant manager can do the interview. It didn't say if a coach, like a goalkeeping coach or just a other coach, can do the interview, but can also be the manager. I can't see Slot doing this. I just can't see it. Assistant, maybe I could see it. And another coach, yes, definitely. I mean, could you hire a coach purposely for this? Could you literally hire a member of staff to purposely do the post-match or the halftime interview, and that's it? That's all his job is, to do the halftime interview. Could clubs just take the piss out of this and dress that person up, make them look stupid, make them say stupid things on the camera? Like, what? This is crazy. What? Maybe that's going to happen. I don't know. If it was me, like, I'm hiring someone, I'm dressing them up in different superhero costumes. They're doing Hulk Hogan cosplays. They're dressing up as Stone Cold Steve Austin. They're just repeating wrestling phrases. They're just dressing up as the Hulk and smashing their fists together, like, taking the full mick out of this. This is a terrible idea, and it's Americanization of football. They do this in the NBA. They have interviews between quarters with players, with coaches. They're the same every time, and they add nothing to the product, and no fans like them. Let me assure you of that. How it goes is the first quarter will end, the second quarter will start, and there'll be a split screen, and it'll be the game going on and the interview, which has the sound, and it'll be something like very quick, where it'll be the interviewer says, "Hey, Tom, how do you think the first quarter's gone for you?" And the player will be like, "Started all right, gotta lock in for the second quarter and go from there." And that's it. That's all you're getting. They're not giving away anything. There's nothing interesting said. It's the same every time. It doesn't really add anything. I just don't understand this. I really hope something is done to get rid of this. But at the very least, it might be interesting when we watch United games and they've got to choose one of these when they're getting smashed by somebody. I mean, at least maybe that'll be fun. But not for us, not for Liverpool, and not for the Premier League as a whole. I don't want this. So yeah, that is sort of the new rule and the new rule change. So I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to cover for the first episode of The Golden Sky. Again, first ever time doing this, so please give me feedback. Let me know how you think it's come across. If there's anything I can do to improve, please let me know. Anything you liked, you didn't like, and let me know also topics that you want to see. We're going to get into a lot more transfer talk, a lot more stuff about the season coming up. We're going to do pre-season. We're going to do loads of good, interesting things. We'll do transfers for other clubs, not just Liverpool. Maybe we can touch on those a little bit. Chelsea are going bananas again. I just don't understand Chelsea at all. United have been trying to sign Mbeumo for about a month. Arsenal have been searching for a striker for basically since the crucifixion at this point. Like, it's crazy. There's a lot to talk about, and we will get into it. So, yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed. Again, leave some things you'd like to see, things you enjoyed, things you didn't enjoy, let me know. Hit the like button, share the show, comment away, subscribe if you are new around here. It would help me out. Again, it's the first time I've ever put this out to the public, really, in such a wide sense. So it'd be cool if we got some new people around here. Let me know that you're here, and I'll obviously interact with you and speak to you. And if you're listening on Spotify, thank you for listening. Please give the show a rating. You can comment on Spotify now, which is cool. And yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much for listening. I don't really have an outro yet, so I guess I'll just say The Golden Sky episode 1 is done, and I'll see you next time.